Well, hello everybody. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello and welcome to today's live stream pop-up art studio with the Living Room Community Art Studio, the Living Room at Home. Thank you so much for being here and for being a part of our community. Hey B, good to see you. I miss your face. But super excited for those of you who may be watching. Oh, thank you. Anthony Granny's sneaking me a glass of water here. How awesome is that? We'll be doing one of our first community activities this Friday at the Backdoor Mission, and Bee's going to be there helping out. We're super excited about it. It'll be a really interesting kind of experiment about how we connect with people during pandemic times, right? It's all new. It's all new for everybody, and we're going to explore how to do that. So we might be seeing some of you folks there, and if so, super excited to have a chance to see you at 6 feet apart, masked up. I think it's going to be a lovely outing in the community. But Bea, how are you doing? I've been trying to think about what to work on today, folks, and I don't know. I don't know how everybody else out there is feeling, but my brain is very full. Very full brain going on right now. And I think that's because of a lot of things. But you know what? Before getting to all of those things, yeah, let's just check in and see where we're at studio-wise. So welcome to everyone who's joining in. If you haven't joined us before, this is just a space to connect, create, make whatever you want or need to make, about an hour and a half worth of time, where I'm here chatting with you. You can share your questions, share your comments, your thoughts, say hello to one another in the chat. And I'll just be making whatever it is I'm making today. You do not have to make the same thing that I make. This is just a place where we can create alongside one another. So using whatever materials you have on hand, creating whatever you want or need to create in this moment, do what you need to do to feel good and to have the best day possible for yourself. And if you're not in the mood to create, then that's okay too. You can just listen to what's going on, have us in the background while you do other things. Perhaps, you want to get some work done. That's okay too. You can dip in for a few minutes, then check out, do something else, and then come back to the Facebook live stream to visit us. All of that's good. And if you're one of the wonderful people who tunes in after the live stream, when it's archived, to watch and enjoy the experience, that's perfectly fine as well. Just know that I won't be available to respond to what you're saying. So if you're saying hello and I don't answer back, it's probably because the live stream is done and I'm off doing something else. But I do try to check in on comments and respond as much as I can, okay? And B, hanging in there. Hello, Vanna! Yay, nice to see you again. Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, you know what, Savannah? We're all working with technology these days, trying to figure out what it means. It's playing such a larger part in our lives these days, so I get it. I'm not the boss of anybody, so you, do what works, take your time, and it's understandable if technological glitches sometimes get in the way. And then, oh wow, so Bee's out in a friend's backyard working on a talk you're doing tonight. I'm curious. Tell me more. I hope it's a good talk. Well, of course it's going to be a good talk. You're the one who's giving it. What am I thinking of here? I love knowing that people are out there and working on different things. Whatever it is you're creating, if you want to share it here in the chat, just to keep us updated about what you're working on or to let other folks in the community know what you're working on, share what you're doing, share what you're loving these days, please feel free. This to me is, as much as it is a chat and a kind of art jam, live stream workshop experience, it's also about celebrating and honoring the creative energy that's already out there in community, the things that maybe these days we don't have the opportunity to share with one another in person as much as we'd like. Feel free to do so here. So that includes links to websites or Tumblrs or I don't know, there's all sorts of amazing things, Discord pages, DeviantArt pages, whatever it might be. If you're proud of something that you're doing and you want to share it with other people, feel free to share it in the chat as we go. or in the after post after the event is done. We try and do a little follow-up show and tell activity. So feel free to share what you're working on there as well. And for everyone who's joining us, if you're not familiar with the living room, we just ask that you keep in mind our safe space policies. So being supportive of one another and yourself, just being respectful, negotiating consent, just checking in, just asking. When in doubt, just ask. And if folks, of course, are using or drinking, we'll also ask them to take a break from the live stream this week, from participating, and come back in another week when they haven't been or they're not using or drinking. And that's really about taking care of ourselves and one another in a slightly different way, making sure we can communicate with one another as clearly as we can to the best of our abilities. And for us, it's also an additional support for folks who are in recovery or perhaps working on harm reduction practices within their own life. It's just nice to be able to take a break from that for a little bit in your day, just to have a moment away from it for a little while. So we are so thankful for everyone who is respectful of that part of the process for us. And the last thing, the most important thing, if anyone participating in the studio space or in the virtual studio space, if anything happens that makes you feel uncomfortable or weird or just not good for whatever reason, we really truly do invite you to let us know. Let someone in the chat know. Let me know. You can message me privately if you like, just to, one, keep us accountable, right? We don't always know when things have happened, especially virtually. It's hard to recognize when people are feeling strange. We don't have the same visual cues that we might in the actual studio space. So we're really inviting you to take ownership of your precious, precious self. And if there are things that you'd like to teach us about yourself, about how we can be more supportive of you in this virtual community, please let us know, because you matter and your experience matters. And I always enjoy learning new things about other people and finding ways to help others understand what it's like to be someone else, right? Oh, checking in with B again about the talk. Wow, okay, timely. So asked to speak at a recovery meeting to share the old experience, strength and hope. My story of what happened to me and how I managed to get out of that. That's really beautiful, strength and hope. Maybe we can make that part of today's theme. I don't know. Is that too much? Is that too nosy? Is that biting on what you're doing too much? I've been thinking a lot about that idea of safety and recovery and what we do with our hurt, what we do with the little pains that happen to us, our disappointments, not in a kind of drag us all down way, but in that optimistic way. Like, what hope is there for us in taking care of ourselves and handling our stories with greater compassion and tenderness? And how do we share those things with other people as a means of teaching people, but also just making space for our story in the world? Because what we go through matters. And I think it's important for other people, when they hear our stories, they know that too. They know that they're not alone. So strength and hope, such a beautiful thing. And Vanna, what's Vanna working on? Doing some digital art right now. Nice. Usually post my art on Amino, but looking for another platform to post on. Interesting. I'm not familiar with that platform, but I'd love to learn more. I'm sure folks in the comment and the chat thread will have lots of recommendations for you, Savannah, about where you can share your work. There are so many amazing sites these days to not only share your work, but to connect with other creators who are like-minded. I'm not sure, I don't know everything about all the platforms, obviously, but I am interested. A couple of my volunteers have a great passion for Discord. Out of context, that sentence could sound very strange, but I've heard that Discord can be a fantastic platform for connecting, chatting, sharing. I'm not sure if it has the capacity to share visual artwork. If anyone out there knows, please feel free to share. And be following up on that thread, how we can turn our difficult experiences into ways to connect with others. Yes. Yeah, and for those of you who might be joining in the conversation right now, we're talking about hope, strength. Thanks, B. We're talking about how we can transform our hurts, our pains, our disappointments into something more, while also recognizing how important it is to honor those experiences. Yeah. Oh, and B, also a shout out to Discord. You can share images there. So Savannah, that's and anyone else thinking about sharing their work on platforms. Supposedly Discord's a pretty cool site. The Living Room, we're thinking about creating a Discord page there too. So we'll let you know how that goes. Now, before I get too talky with my face, I'm going to switch over to the other camera and let's see what I can do there. And I'll show you this pile of stuff that I'm working with today because I just don't know. I'm having one of those big creating days where I'm not sure what to create. And yeah, I've got a tray full of stuff here. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. Yeah, it's an interesting day. Yeah, what to do with our pains, our hurts, connecting with other people. I think such an important piece, I suppose the first piece of all of that is just knowing how to honor our own stories, to honor ourselves on that journey. How do I honor my art today? Clay, embroidery stitchy stuff, or oil pastels? Clay, stitchy stuff, oil pastels. Okay, all right. You know what? I'm going to stick with color today. So clay, I'll come back to you. I'll be working on something for Camp Rainbow Phoenix in the next couple of weeks, so I'm super excited about that. So I'll come back to you, clay. Don't worry. I will be back. And I think I'm going to start with some oil pastels and then move over to some stitchy stuff. Some stitchcraft, as they say. Aha, I knew that you'd like that I had the embroidery stuff out, B. I knew that. I think I'm going to do some freeform stitching. I've been meaning to get back to that for the last few weeks, and I haven't had a chance. So I'm just going to play with that. But to start, let's get out some of kind of the strange wiggly gigglies I have inside of me today. Or oogly googlies. I don't know what any of those words mean. I just know that I've got stuff in my belly. And sometimes it's distracting. So let's do some grounding, Mary. And if you'd like to join me at home doing some grounding activities, you're welcome to do so. Sometimes all that means is that I just grab some supplies, like some drawing, scribbling, doodling supplies. It could be paint, it could be oil pastels like I'm using here, it could be pencil crayons or pens, whatever you got. And I just take an empty sheet of paper or a recycle, like a paper that's going to go into recycling, and I will just scribble and scribble and scribble. So I'm going to grab those two colors. I'm going to grab this one as well. And this just gives me a chance to take a breath and kind of get my body physically engaged in the art, because my brain is already engaged. I've got lots of thoughts going on. That is not an issue. Thoughts and feelings galore. But I don't know if you folks experience this ever out there, where your body kind of gets disconnected from those things during the day. And if you're anything like me, and if you've, speaking of, we were just mentioning technology off the top of this, it's easy to, if you're spending a lot of time working through technology or on screen, I find it's easy to forget about the rest of your body that's just kind of hanging off of it. So I'm just going to fill this with color, lines, shapes. And I'm not thinking about it too much, but I'm letting my body kind of move along with it, feeling it through my arm, and feeling it into my shoulders, down my back. It's kind of reminding me as I'm doing this that I've been holding my breath a little bit because I'm feeling it in my belly and my chest. And there's a sigh for you. Feel free to sigh along with me at home if you like, if it helps. And I see as platforms go, B was recommending Instagram too. And Savannah's tried Instagram. But oh yeah, interesting. So something about Instagram not displaying your artwork in the way that you'd like, Savannah, that it's hard to find a platform that works for everything we want. But Instagram, I find, is a nice, helpful one. I like that it's a space we can connect with others and share our work, but if we don't want to engage in conversation, we necessarily don't have to. We can let our art do the speaking for us, let the art do the connecting for us. Let's see. Whew. Yeah, definitely needed to let that out a little bit. Hydration break. So now I'm going to switch over. Maybe I'll try my non-dominant hand for this side of things. And I'm just going to scribble over top with my other hand. For those of you who've been hanging out and watching over the last couple of months, I've been exploring non-dominant hand art making much more than I ever have before. Not necessarily for the purposes of creating products that I want to share, but mostly just exploring the process of what it's like and trusting that whatever needs to happen will happen. It's also a great way of re-educating my inner critics, reminding them that what they want isn't always the thing that is important in the moment. So there we go. What else? A little bit of this. Gonna give that a border. And the non-dominant creation, hand creation too, which for me is my left hand. It's a good reminder. It's almost like I'm balancing out between my right and left sides. I don't know how much it connects to what's going on in my brain. What I do know is that if I spend some time working this way and switching back and forth, I end up feeling a little more balanced. So how much of that is something going on in my brain? I don't know. And I'm sure somebody's out there, if you've got data or statistics or facts about how exactly that works, you can feel free to share them. Because right now I'm just involved and enjoying the process. Of course, what I love about oil pastels is you can layer it up and it gets thick and textured, and it's really nice. You can scrape through it and move it around. Hello, Lottie. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. How are you doing? Oh. Let's see. And folks, let me know if anything's looking a little odd about the live stream today, because I'm trying some new things out, as you know, as we do here. And so things are presenting a little differently to me today on my screen at home. If you're noticing anything different on your end, can you let me know? That'd be amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad I'm not the only one finding it difficult to connect with body after spending time in the virtual realm. It's really, I think it's something that a lot of us are learning about and becoming more aware of these days. How easy it is to forget to bring those pieces back together. The mind-body combination, right? Let's see what I want to do here. I'm going to take a chopstick. I think I'm just going to scrape away some of this oil pastel color. And you can see there on the end of my chopstick how much, like how beautiful and thick oil pastels can be and how much you can remove and play with. So let's see, and Lottie, catching up with Lottie. Earlier, yeah, you are here earlier than usual tonight. And it's 1 week till Lottie says 1 week till the dreaded results day, and the nervous feeling is starting to creep in. So whilst I tune into this happy space tonight, I'm going to be sketching and maybe some video editing a little bit later. Yes. Oh my gosh. And I know I've watched some of your videos, Lottie, some of your spoken word pieces. So excellent. Feel free to share them here if you like. I'd love to also do some kind of collaboration with you maybe one day. Spoken word sharing collaboration, or maybe a virtual spoken word video festival. I don't know. Is that something we can do, folks? Why not? Why not? I think spoken word, oh, look at that lovely oil pastel loveliness. I'm a lover of spoken word, and it's such a performance-oriented art form. But of course, these days it's very difficult. There's no places to perform, really, outside of online. So maybe we can figure something out. And again, thanks for the reminder. Be a nice welcome to everyone else who's joining in the live stream. For those folks who've been here, who are quietly watching and observing, you're welcome too. It's okay if you don't feel like joining the chat. I'm happy that you're here. But if you'd like to say hi, feel free. I can't see, from where I'm at anyways, I can't see who joins in watching the live stream. I only see the folks who join the chat for whatever reasons. I'm not sure why. So if I'm not saying hello to you and you're joining the live stream, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're spending some time with us today. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. We can do anything we set our minds to. So let's have a film festival. Why the heck not? Why not? I mean, we keep it manageable. Maybe like a mini film festival, like a micro fest. I think that might be the way of the future. Instead of focusing on these big, huge things. Hey, Amanda, nice to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back, Amanda. And hello to Dan too, if Dan's there. I think instead of focusing on these giant, extravagant events, maybe we can focus on little tiny micro events that take less work to bring about, but provide just as much satisfaction and enjoyment for folks who participate. All right, let's see what this hand wants to do today. Another lovely thing about working with my non-dominant hand in art creation, whatever kind of art it is, I'm really learning about what I like. Like I'm learning about a certain style that I have that I've never really made space for before in my creation. I think it's something that is incredibly difficult. If I was to try to replicate this with my right hand, I think it just wouldn't be the same. So I'm learning to love this wonky, kind of free-flowing stream of conscious part of myself, so that's a gift. And I don't mean to get away from the original theme, so those folks who are joining us now, we were talking near the beginning about strength, about hope, what that means, talking about what we do with our pain, what meaning we make of the difficult things we've experienced, how we use it to connect with other people. Ooh, nice. So Lottie, going back to oil pastels for a moment, using oil pastels to make pastel prints. Oh, wow. I haven't done an oil pastel print in forever, maybe. I have to revisit that, Lottie. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, oh my gosh. I don't know if you have oil pastels on hand, but if you end up making one today, please feel free to share it. I like carving away and removing the layers, which I suppose is kind of a metaphor for life and living and learning about ourselves. You know, what we choose to revisit, to explore, to return to, what stays with us, what sticks with us, that maybe is a reminder, perhaps, in some way of what we still need to work on or what we want to honor. Not all pain is pain we want to let go of. Not all hurt is something we're trying to purge from our lives, I think, if that makes sense. I think some pain helps us honor the important moments. It helps make the beautiful moments a little more beautiful. But perhaps that leans into all those theories about, not that suffering being life, but suffering being a part of life. And what do we do with it? What do we choose to do with it? Hello, Teresa. Welcome, Teresa. Thanks for joining in and saying hi. How are you doing? For those of you who don't know Teresa, I'm just going to give a little shout out. Such an extraordinary painter. I've actually never seen Teresa turn her attention to any creative endeavor that just doesn't automatically seem effortless for her. And, you know, I don't hate you for it. It's okay. I don't. I really don't. No, I don't. I really don't. I love that. I think sometimes it's hard to see what looks easy, what looks effortless is often the result of years of honing certain skills and practicing and just bringing one's awareness to a certain kind of creative expression. And that is something, Teresa, I know you've done. I know you've been doing it everywhere. I think one day I'd love to have, for those of you again, I'm just introducing Teresa to the world. I'd love to hear more stories about the cafe, the artist cafe. I think you told me once that you used to run an artist cafe in Mexico, and I can't remember where it was. But I would, in my mind, I've built up this entire, it's almost like a TV show in my head of characters that come and go, and you letting artists pay for things, pay for their coffee with art, and maybe you never did that. I could just be making that up. Wouldn't be the first time I've made up stories like that. And that wouldn't be a very sensible business plan if that was what you were doing. That sounds like something that I might do. Yeah, no, I mean, I can't recommend it. But I suppose every artist wants a place where we can go and be appreciated and have the value in our work seen. And that's another interesting component to that conversation about hope and strength and recognizing our own value and the value of our stories, our lived experience. I think people can, there's so many things going on in the world right now, and so many things that we're all struggling and trying to deal with. Juarez. Thank you, Teresa. The Artists Cafe in Juarez. Yeah, you see, I have, there's a theme song and everything. I have the whole show laid out in my head. Maybe we should write a script together, Teresa. Maybe. I don't know, just saying. Maybe. Okay, wow. Back to the theme, Mary. Back to the theme. Value in our experiences. Was that where I was at? Let's see. Is that what I was talking about, folks? You might have to remind me. You might have to keep me on task today. So many things. Yeah, I think today there's been a lot of communications over the last few days with folks who are struggling for lots of different reasons. And people in different parts of Ontario, but also the country and the world. Wherever each one of us is located right now, it seems like every day there's something new to address. There's something new we need to tend to. And for some of us, that's always been the story of our lives. For some folks out there, there's never been a day of rest. But for others, this is new. And I think at the scale it's at, it's new. The scope of all the things we're working with. And it's easy to get angry, and it's easy to have this rage, pain that turns into rage. And I suppose I wonder how long that can be sustained before we need to step back and take care of ourselves. And it makes me think of all the people who change hearts and minds and make truly meaningful change through sharing their stories, through perhaps being brave enough or honored enough to share what they've been through, their personal experiences, in a way that touches someone's heart, that softens that outer shell that we all have. And it makes a difference. There's the piece about not feeling alone, but I think there's also the piece of having space to feel and to see someone else feel. And that's something at the studio I was honored to see from time to time, to bear witness and to have someone invite me into their world to share in their experience of something as much as I could, to witness them, to see them cry, to see their anger. It's such an important thing, such a privilege to be there. And for the people who do that, for the people who can share what they're feeling like that, how extraordinary is that? How extraordinary. I honor every single one of you who takes that story and finds a way to safely, manageably share it with someone else when you're ready, in a way that inevitably changes people's lives for the better, changes the world for the better. And Vanna saying hello to everyone. That's lovely. And oh, back to business plans in my dream cafe in Juarez. As far as business plans go, I don't think you could get a bank loan on that. Yeah, I know. Art for food and coffee. But, oh geez, that would be incredible, says B. And Teresa says, 3 of the most amazing painters used to go there. That sounds like a story. Teresa, that sounds like a story. And Shelley, hi Shelley. Nice to see you, Shelley, welcome. And Shelley says, sorry, I missed this. I am working with my daycare children. We'll watch later. Oh, it's okay, it's all right. There are lots of people who watch this after the live stream, and although you can't, I feel bad you can't enjoy the chat in the same way, you know, it's still here, and we're still thinking of you, and we're still making space for you in this conversation, in this creative process, even though you can't be here right now. So thank you to all the folks who watch after the fact, after the live stream. And Shelley, I'm so glad you're working with, you love that work. You know, for so many of us not being able to do the work we would normally do in the way we would normally do it, that takes a toll as well. And what a joy it is to have some of that back in your life again. I'm so happy for you. And Teresa, oh, back to the painters. 3 of the most amazing paintings that I have known, or painters that I've known, used to go to my cafe. They were brothers, and their names were, no, Teresa, this has got to be a joke. Their names were Raphael, Leonardo, and Miguel Angelo. So, Teresa, wow. Okay, this is a script. This is... Seriously? That's hilarious and amazing. And yes, I want to see that made into a play or a TV show or a movie. We'll talk. With all this magic money I have on hand to do all these things. Hello, Peter. Welcome, Peter. Welcome to the live stream. And again, thanks to everyone who's saying hello. It's so nice to know that you're out there. And, ooh, I'm just warming up with some oil pastel work, trying to balance out my body and my brain. And sometimes doing the physical thing instead of the virtual or digital thing helps me do that. Even if it's just scribbling and filling a page with color, it's nice to get physical with some kind of creation and to move around a little bit and to remember to breathe, to remember to relax enough to be able to breathe. I don't know if anyone else struggles with that. I think I might have mentioned it before, how sometimes when I get anxious or hold tension, I kind of forget to breathe. Like, not enough that I stop breathing, but it's like I'm only taking little sips of air. That's a strange thing, huh? If anyone else out there can relate to that, let me know. And Jay, hi Jay! How the heck are you doing? It's good to see you here too. And if your little people are with you, then hello little persons. Hi, how you doing? Amazing. What a lovely community we got going on, folks. So, all right, I'm feeling a little bit more balanced. And this, just letting out that color here has really felt very, very good. And I've got a little ball of oil pastel here as a result. So let me just clean up all the little bits and pieces I got going on. Yeah, I agree. So Teresa, I think we want to see a documentary series or something, right? I'm assuming that's what B means about these painters. I was talking to one of my amazing placement students today, and it's their last week with us, folks. For the Durham College placement students that we have who are SSWs, social service worker students, this was their last week. Although each of them has promised in their own way that they'll be back, and it's not unusual to see our placement students come back to participate in the different things that we do, which is great. Because I think we're all a part of this community, regardless of what role we play. The Art Hive really, really works well when that happens, when community members are volunteers and volunteers are community members, and students and experts who come in to share different skills with us feel at home and feel as if, well, we're all together. We're all creating and working on the same level, right? There's no need, like each one of us is different. Each one of our lived experiences is unique. However, we're still humans in the same way. and we can learn and grow and support one another. That's when things really work. So yes, placement students, their last week here. So if you have a chance to join in and participate in any of their activities this week, we have a few room workshops, a letter writing workshop coming up, a letter to self that we're doing. Michelle and Nikki are doing that, which is really cool. I think that's happening tomorrow afternoon. And then Alpha is doing a gratitude card making workshop on Friday afternoon. It's like create your own deck of gratitude cards using whatever materials you have on hand, which is kind of exciting. So I love a good deck of cards, like of art cards. Love it. Love it. So if you're free on Friday and you want to join in, swing on by. We'll be on the LivingRoom workshop group page, which is where we can host the Zoom style rooms that we've started doing. So you folks are welcome. Oh, well, Peter, why? Thank Peter with the compliments. Always doing great artwork. Oh, I do art, and I greatly enjoy the art that I do. I tend to enjoy stuff I don't think about too much. I was thinking about that the other day. Not too much, but just thinking about it a little bit. How I really enjoy putting art away and returning to it months later, like kind of make it and forget about it and then revisit it, which for me is such a great reminder to, well, let's see, do you guys want a close-up of that? Let's see what I can do here. Let's do a little tiny close-up of that piece and what it's looking like. So just oil pastels, layered, lighter colors underneath the darker colors, and then using a chopstick to scrape the excess away and just get interesting colors, interesting patterns coming through. Yeah. But yes, forgetting artwork is one of my favorite things. Because I do think about things even when I'm not trying to think about things too much. And it's really easy for me to get inside my head. So if I can stop and put something away for a little while, forget about it and come back to it. Hello, Patrick. Welcome. Welcome, Patrick. Nice to see you here. Yes, and the relaxation, the relaxation in art making, Peter, is it's an important thing, but it's one of those things that is easier said than done. It's one thing to tell someone to relax, and it's one thing to tell ourselves to relax. It might start with telling ourselves to relax, but at a certain point, it's just a matter of letting ourselves relax, I guess. And with our artwork, that appreciation that comes to it, sometimes taking a break can be exactly what you need, or exactly what I need. So what am I going to do here? Oh, you know what? I'm going to switch needles on this. This is a needle a little more blunt, better for other kind of embroidery projects. So what am I going to, with a looser, the cross stitch fabric. So I'm going to just get a sharper needle for this. Let's see what I have here. Yep, that'll do the trick. But that's an interesting conversation too. And I think it ties very well into the theme of strength and hope, because I think like knowing how to take, again, and self-care, the hope that we can take care of ourselves, the hope that we will get through, how we get through, knowing that, how do we know that tomorrow will be better, or that the next moment will be okay, or a little bit better than now. No matter where folks are at in their life, I think we teach ourselves how to tolerate stuff so that we can get to those beautiful moments, to sit through the difficult ones and have the strength to know we're worth hanging in there for. And that can be so many things on so many levels. But I know there's a lot of folks out there with a lot of lived experience in how to do that, or the ways that they do it that help them. If folks want to share, feel free. Oh, hello. So Little People's Ears are here too, Jay. Thanks for the reminder. And you have a friend visiting? That's so exciting. Oh my goodness. So I will be, I'll try not to swear, Liam and Catriona, okay? I will try not to swear, but if I do, I've got a jar over there. And if you hear me, if anyone hears me cuss, you just let me know and I'll put money in the swear jar. Yeah? I've been pretty good with swearing now. I've been pretty good, I think. Let's see what we have here. And definitely interesting, B. B can definitely relate to holding on to anxiety and stress in your body with tense muscles and holding your breath. It's so good to know I'm not alone. Yeah, and the placement students, last week, but I have a feeling they'll be back. I know Nikki and Michelle have already offered to come back and continue to host the coffee chat if they can, like once or twice a month, which is really lovely. And as far as letting art go or forgetting about art, yeah, B likes rediscovering old sketchbooks and embroidery works. Absolutely. And if there's ever been something, I think the really powerful thing for me is when, specifically if I've had a really difficult time with something, and it can be the same for a written piece, like finding old journals that have been hanging around with remnants of poems that I've written or thoughts that I just had to jot down or get out of my head. Rediscovering them, like if after a break, I can't remember why I didn't like it in the first place half the time. And I think it's really just getting so close to something that my inner stress instincts, oh, this thread, this cruel thread is not, this says, why are you making me work on this fabric in this way? So maybe I'll just let that trail off and I'll use some embroidery thread. But yeah, how do we, wanting something to be so important, knowing that it's important, sometimes that clouds our judgment of the piece as we're going along, or the judgment prevents us from letting it flow, right? It's like writing a piece and editing as you go. That can be a really difficult process for writers because they're constantly getting in their own way. And it's actually one of the things I've heard recently in the conversations, the value in going back to, and writers out there, shout out about this. Hand letterers out there, shout out about this if you like. The importance of documenting your work in a way that is not virtual. So it's not saying never type anything down or don't write on a tablet or a computer, but that there's something of value in writing things down and tracking the process and the evolution of certain projects or certain ideas. When we write things or document things exclusively in virtual form, we miss out on the process. So we may not, if we revisit something, you're missing out on all the little pieces along the way that might point to other exciting projects. So the important and keep the value in keeping hand documentation of stuff. And oh, Patrick saying, okay, all right, show us the swear jar. Let's see how much money is in there. You know what? To be honest, there's only been, as far as I can remember, and folks might want to remind me of this, I think there's only been 2 times that I've sworn, and one time was like on purpose under my breath. Does that count? Yes, of course that counts, Mary. What am I trying to justify it for? Almost swore then. See, there's something, if I was in the studio, I'd be swearing so much more than I do online. That's something to examine. But then Jay, thank you Jay, says my swear jar would fill up pretty quickly. My kids are old enough to know now what words they're not allowed to repeat when I do say them in their hearing. I love that. That is great. And as you know, at the studio, as we've always said, it's, expressive language is, I think it's important. Expressive language on its own, and let's call it that, expressive language, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, we've never had a sign up at the studio that says you're not allowed to swear. But for us, the line comes with, why are you swearing? And if you're swearing to intentionally hurt someone, minimize them, or reduce them, that is not cool. Not cool to hurt someone, regardless of how you do it. Not cool. And you will have to pay for what your mouth buys on those occasions if you're around me. However, expressive language for the purposes of, I don't know, demonstrating. Oh, I'm going to get myself into trouble here. I'm just going to get myself into trouble. So why am I doubling down on this? 2 times that I've sworn that I can remember. So there's not a lot of money in the swear jar. It's going to take me a while. It's going to be like saving up air miles or something to get anything out of it. And plus, I don't have any If anyone, I don't know if any, if anyone out there, I don't have cash on me these days. Everything is taps. So like, because of the pandemic. So I'm going to have to start filling the swear jar with other things that are of value to me. I'll think about that. Like chocolate or something? I don't know. And Jay, I'm not going to repeat that comment because I will say the word. But thank you. It does happen. It happens. And Patrick won't tell. I have seen clips of Mary swearing. That is true. You've seen me again when I play characters in projects. I love playing a character that swears. Love it. There's nothing better than playing a character that really, if that's what you're referring to, there's nothing better than having a character who uses language in all the ways, or not. Silent characters are really interesting too. But that permission to step into someone else's shoes and use language in a way that you might not is pretty powerful. And there's a privilege, a responsibility that comes with that too, that process. And it's watching things now, I'm sure we're all like, things stand out when we use language irresponsibly, and it does not age well. So let's see. And Peter is saying, Art Hive. I'll have to figure that out. And yeah, who carries cash these days? I don't know if businesses even accept cash. I'm not sure what it's like in the rest of the world, but, and Lottie. So although I do write some stuff down, this is getting back to how we document things. I usually type stuff up. The main reason being is that I'm a painfully slow writer and I get frustrated. So it's just easier to type to get my point across quicker. Yeah, but on the other hand, I don't really do drafts. I keep documents with plans and ideas. So that is exciting. I love that. I think that's the main curating piece for creative people. How do we draft up ideas? How do we draw things out? How do we practice or experiment before we get to the point where we're ready to do the thing? That's a beautiful thing. That could be a theme of a workshop or a Hive or a live stream all on its own. Because some artists do spend a remarkable amount of time practicing, and other people just let it flow. I'm one of those people who I can get caught up if I plan too much, I get too in my head. So I like to just let it happen. And that's why I think I benefit from having like a journal or something to scribble down the process in. Because what I don't use today in my writing, I have revisited and used ideas or lines or bits and pieces, like scraps, almost like working with textiles in that way. You take the little scraps of pieces that didn't make it into that final project, or things that were offcuts. And it's interesting how often they find a way into your next project or a project years from now. Yeah. But as long as there's some kind of experience of that, not that you need it, but I certainly love to see it and revisit it years from now. People will say, how did Lottie create this piece, this masterpiece? How did it unfold? And they'll look back and they'll be able to archive all your interesting bits and pieces and say, we see. But then again, if they don't have archives to go back to, that's okay too. And Jay, swearing. I love how swearing is actually a theme of today's live stream. Swearing as a form of creative expression is therapeutic in its own way. Absolutely. Again, using language to hurt, just like using anything else to hurt someone, that's a different conversation. But letting things erupt in that way, whether it's just a sound or an expletive, I think there's a lot of power in that. And perhaps it's also important to own it in its own way, depending on where that language comes from. I think knowing the history of words and phrases that perhaps we've taken for granted until now, like that's an important piece too. Like, why do we use the language we do? And are there words that can express the same thing without being attached to that original intent that was designed to hurt or minimize people? And Peter, Peter says, I don't think I heard of Mary swearing. She's such a nice person from my experience. I have been joining a couple of morning coffee chats as well as work with her in the Art Hive. That's true. Oh, and if you posted that, I might, you know what? I apologize if I missed that post before, Peter. Sometimes I've noticed in comment threads, I may not always see things as they come up, and I'm not sure why that is. Just another interesting glitch of the process, or perhaps I looked away and it went past me. Um, but sometimes if folks are out there and you've shared a comment or said something and I don't see you, if I don't see you say it, I'm so sorry. It's just something that happens sometimes, and I don't know why. I'm trying to figure it out. But again, thank you, Peter. If there's something important that you want to share and it seems like I've missed it, just bring it up again. I don't mind. It's kind of like poking me. If I'm at the studio and I'm busy, just keep on poking. Keep on saying, Mary, 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 Mary. Because sometimes I forget or get distracted. I think, yes, you're right, Peter. I think people would probably, if I pricked my finger, for example, and swore, I'm sure people would forgive me. I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I do love a good swear. That's just the truth of it. The cursing, again, like just creative use of language. Creative and mindful use of language. I think we can add that piece in as well. I'm going to start incorporating this thread. I know over time, language evolves, language changes. That's one of the things I love about language. And I can't speak for all languages in the world, but English, I love how it grows. I love how words that we use today to describe something were not the words that were used before. I know some of you, there's a YouTuber, well, he's also a dialect coach, but he explores that exact thing, the use of language and how things have changed over time. And there are a lot of folks out there who are they like language being used in a very specific way for a very specific reason, but human beings, we are creative, and we find ways to use language as a tool, just like anything else. So seeing how we manipulate language, how we shape it to suit our purposes as we move through the world, it's interesting for a whole lot of reasons. And I don't know if it's possible to keep it in one place, to pin it down, to have it mean only one thing. But this, if you have a chance, I don't know, I'll try and post it afterwards if you haven't heard of this. This YouTuber, he talks about dialects. He often examines actors' use of dialect in film and TV. But recently he had a fantastic post about language and punctuation and how language evolves and changes. And it's a huge piece because people also use that static rule, that idea that things must remain the same to hold people back as well. I know it's a huge conversation. It was a huge conversation, hopefully not as much anymore, but a huge conversation within the culture of pronouns, and people freaking out about, individuals with non-binary individuals who with they them pronouns, and for them, the people freaking out anyways, there was a sense of, well, that's just not right. It's not proper grammar. It's not the way you do it. But actually that's not the case. And there's plenty of evidence for they them being used in pronouns and language, polite language. There's been evidence of usage in that way forever now. So just because it's been this way for a little time, or it's been more familiar to certain people, doesn't mean that's how it has to continue, and it doesn't always mean that that's been the case in the past. And Shakespeare is one of those people who would use they them pronouns all the time. So if anyone ever gets up in your grill about that kind of stuff, why did I use that phrase? I don't know, because I'm cool. Yeah, you can just throw Shakespeare at them if someone's debating you about your pronouns being grammatically incorrect. Right? Or you can tell them to come talk to me, and I'll take on that battle for you, because I do not mind. And Peter, yes, interesting. Oh, interesting. So different cultures have different languages. that's true, but I guess a lot of the time it will mean the same thing despite the different expression. That's an interesting thing too. What differs, but what carries over culturally, language to language. I've been in my sort of my pandemic TV watching. I've been watching some Italian TV, and I forget at certain times. I'm a very expressive talker, but then you see a culture that is very expressive, and Italian is that, like, depending on what culture, what region, what dialect, it's very expressive. And I was just reminded of the many different ways they have to swear without using a word, just like sign language, just that expressive quality, that communication, that like, I will forever be charmed and appalled by how human beings like find ways to communicate things. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? The ability to innovate, the ability to create on its own is a beautiful thing. How we use those tools in the end, that's another thing altogether. For humor or for reduction or for celebration, lots of things. Lots of exciting things. And Vanna, honestly, I think you're saying, Vanna's saying you made up English so much on a daily basis that you've developed your own language. That is exciting to me. There's lots of people out there who make up their own languages. This is not perhaps it's not a common thing, but it's less uncommon than we realize. I love that. And well, even getting back to technology, the idea of code and the language within coding is, whenever I meet people who code for a living or for a passion and they tell me it's not an art form, I have such a hard time, because that is a language all on its own. And how it's used to create and build worlds is extraordinarily inspiring. So I love it. We could each, if for all the people out there creating their own languages, you could have your own little mini language classes if you wanted. But of course, having a secret language that only you and a few of your friends understand is also it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And B says, pretty sure they and them have been used as a singular pronoun since at least the 1200s in English. Indeed, that's perfect. So anyone who's struggling with that, you might be unfamiliar, but it's not the case. Whoa, there's a snag. Just because it's something unfamiliar to you doesn't necessarily mean that how you've experienced it is true. I'm going to incorporate that into this piece. It's like a thread explosion, and I'm kind of liking it. Yeah. I found, this is another, speaking of found art pieces, this is a piece I started a few summers ago, I think. And I always return to stitch work, and this wants to be an explosion of a tangle. Excellent. All right, I'm listening to you, thread. Don't worry. I'm going to listen to you. This is a piece I started a few summers ago with, what are they called? It's like a puncher that punches the thread in to create loops and things like that. And now I'm returning to it again, but using just straightforward old embroidery thread. And let's say, oh, hello, Nikki. Yes, hi, Nikki, how are you? Nikki says, made up languages like Esperanto and Klingon, indeed, for example, as long as you can understand each other, grammar is not the end all. This from an ESL specialist. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for dropping in and sharing that knowledge. I think we need more. I love seeing that exact thing. Just people reminding us that language is alive, and that's what makes it so beautiful, how we use it and how we share it with one another, how we communicate, what we create with it. It's powerful. It's pretty powerful. Let's see, who else is out there? Let's see. And Lottie saying made up language classes. Gives you an idea? Oh, I'm so excited to see what comes of that. I do love, made up things. That's an odd thing to say. What I mean, more information, Mary. I really do love art projects or organizations that pop up, um, things that celebrate the imaginary, the whimsical, the fantastical, that make space for things in everyday life that are unusual in that sense, but acting as if they've always been around. So I know in the UK there was something recently, the Ministry of Stories, I believe it was called. And I know a lot of their programming was aimed at working with youth, but it was exactly the kind of place that I would love to go to. And it just was this shop, by all like appearances from the outside, how I'm remembering it anyways, that appeared. And it had everything to do with creative writing and storytelling and working with youth to inspire new stories. And you could, but I love the idea as it was framed like a ministry, like something super official. Come on, what are you doing in there? Threads? Threads? What you doing? I don't want you in there. I want you on top. All right, there we go. And yes, folks, I'm talking to the threads. I'm going to just ball those up. Let's make more of a knot so it becomes a thing. I love projects like that. So Lottie, if you have an idea, but keep us posted. That's something I might want to register for. Maybe I don't want all of that. Let's see. Boop. And let's see. And back to Savannah. It's more so the fact that people I first meet face to face. Oh, interesting. People, when you meet people first face to face, they wouldn't necessarily understand what you're trying to say, where your family can tell what you're saying. That is also like an interesting thing to highlight, how familiar, like, what am I saying now? What language am I speaking? Familiarity with someone helps you understand what they're communicating, how they're communicating it. You become familiar with the quirks, with the way they use language, indeed the things that might be made up along the way. That's a lovely thing. And sometimes it's just through exposure, through being around someone, you become familiar. I think that was something we would see at the studio quite a bit as well. It takes getting to know someone a little bit and getting used to what their patterns are like, what their rhythms are like. Their creative, like, language, again, is a very creative thing. So knowing how they use something, what word means what to them, can be a really powerful thing, a key into understanding who they are and what it's like to be them moving through the world. It's kind of like we see things like that in the medical world. When you go to see a doctor, they might ask a question that to do something in a certain way, and they have a very clear idea of what they're wanting, but you understand what they're asking. Like, let's say breathing, for example. Take a deep breath. What you understand as a deep breath might be completely different from what they mean when they ask for you to take a deep breath. And I once spent a good 2 minutes arguing with the doctor over that exact thing before I got him to demonstrate what he meant. And then I was like, oh, that's what you mean. Yes, I can do that. Oh, it's always nice to see you too, Nikki. Punch needle, thank you. B, revisiting the textile work they were doing. So these sections here were done with a punch needle. And now I'm exploring with knot messes. And what happens when your thread just disappears on you. My thread is becoming part of this textile sculpture in front of my very eyes. And I am letting it. And let's say Peter. Maybe someday, Peter says, it would be really great to see that we can be doing Zoom sessions where we would really be interacting with one another. I know other places have started doing Zoom sessions. What do you think, Mary? This is something that we're playing with, and it's part of the workshops that we're doing. So if you're joining the stream, we talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but we've started a group page on the LivingRoom. It's a LivingRoom workshop group, and that will be the space where we connect to do Zoom style workshops through Facebook. So in the future, this week, for example, tomorrow afternoon, I was just mentioning, we have one of our SSW students, two of our students doing a letter to self workshop. So I think that is, I can't remember the time that starts actually, but you can check the workshop, the event is posted. And then on Friday afternoon, Alpha will be doing a gratitude card building workshop. So that's 2 to 3:30 or 4 p.m. that's happening. And those will be workshops where you can go and see one another and actually talk with one another. So we're pretty excited about moving in that direction and seeing what we can do. I love doing these workshops as well, and the feedback from a lot of people is very positive. So we won't be stopping this. We'll still continue to do this. But we're going to explore with what other more traditional kind of workshops we can share and connect with one another over. And I know there are a ton of art hives out there in the world, literally in the world now, doing online workshops, virtual workshops that you can join. So I think if you visit anyone can join the International Art Hives Facebook page, I think. And that way you can learn about what workshops are happening where, what projects people are doing out in the community. And let's see, Teresa saying, yeah, recognizing, finding it very important, a very important part of the process to talk to the art. And that's me yelling at my tangly bits here. Well, that's a metaphor, isn't it? Yes, that dialogue with the art, or whatever you want to call it, however artsy-fartsy you want to get about it. For me, it's an important part of the process. I don't know what I'd do without it. And let's see what else I have here. I think I'm going to bring out the lighter blue now and see where I go with that. And again, not thinking about it too much. Just revisiting the crewel here. Let's see how it likes the fabric. Talking to the art. If you've never tried it before, if you've never tried talking to your art before, I definitely recommend it. Maybe the crewel, no, I think the crewel needs a traditional needle. I have one of these needles that helps thread things for you, but nah, so I'm going to try this. And yes, I'm glad, and I'm glad, Peter, and for everyone else out there who's enjoying this time as well. I'll say again, this isn't going away. We will continue to do this, although I'm going to be taking a break for the next couple of weeks, because I'm going to be doing some other activities online for PFLAG at Camp Rainbow Phoenix, but also because I need I just think I need a little bit of a summer breather. So I'll keep you posted about that. But if you don't see live streams happening here next week and the following week, that is why. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a vacation. But I will be sharing or uploading all the live streams we've done up till now on our YouTube page, the LivingRoom's YouTube page. So keep an eye out for those. So for those of you who want to catch up or missed some, you can tune in and just watch me chat with the community and make stuff at the same time. If that's something you want to do. I'm not the boss of you. Do what feels right to you. Oh, this is the time when you say, where did all my embroidery needles go? And the answer is, I don't know right now, so I'm going to go back to traditional embroidery thread. And Teresa saying something. Oh, this is again about languages. When I was young, my aunt taught me sign language, Teresa says. And shorthand. So not a lot of people understood what we were talking about. It was our secret. That's beautiful. The languages that you and someone special share with one another that others don't understand. I think that's just a lovely little thing to understand, to have a relationship in your life where there's something special, shared in a loving, compassionate, beautiful way, a little playful too. Not everyone has that, but I think a lot of us try from time to time. I think there are lots of things that can be languages as well. So music, being able to share a passion with someone else. I remember how affirming it was the first time I realized that the music I loved, that no one else in my direct friend circle loved, that the first moment where you find someone else who appreciates the same music or has the same kind of instinct towards style or reading or any of those things. It's like finding your people, having people that understand you in a different way than others might understand you. that can feel like a secret language as well, like a secret, like a special community. Yeah. And shorthand, it's funny, I just dug out a book out of a box of donations the other day about shorthand. I think it must be from, I think it's from the 50s or 60s, an old instruction manual. So I set that aside. I've been a hankering to go and explore what shorthand is. So maybe I'll send you a message, Teresa. I'll send you a shorthand message and see if you can still crack the code. And Carlos, hello, hello, hello. Carlos says, hello, howdy, my lovelies. I hope you're all groovy. I'm just playing catch up on what I've missed here. Looks great this far. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff. And again, starting out from a conversation about hope and strength and what we do with our pain, I feel to a certain extent that, I don't know, there's a lot of joy in these conversations as well. I wonder if that is a side effect of making space for voicing, the disappointments, the pains, the hurts we have in a safe way. If sometimes that's enough and that allows strength to come to the forefront. Maybe that allows hope to come to the forefront. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And just taking time to celebrate and honor one another. Oh, you're too close to the side. I'm going to move you over. And there I go. I'm talking to the stitching again. Talking to the stitching. Give me space. Let me stitch with you. And Jay, so let's see. Oh, interesting. So Jay's saying, I taught my kids baby sign when they were little. It was really helpful when my 6-month-old started picking up variations of signs to let me know if he was hungry or wanted a diaper change, etc. Wow. Jay says, it was amazing to see how young some signs were picked up. Again, another signal, what an extraordinary reminder, well, I guess of how extraordinary humans are or can be. That's brilliant. And again, that sense of the secret language as well, like understanding, it kind of goes back to what Savannah was saying too, recognizing, other people may not have known what he was saying to you, you knew. And you were able to recognize probably the variations and things he developed and built upon that language. Because I imagine that once you know how to communicate, regardless of how you communicate, there's a sense of, well, at least I experienced this in my own life. What a powerful thing, knowing that you can communicate and someone is there listening and understanding you. Come on, thread, hang in there with me. I think that's what we're all looking for. To be received, acknowledged, heard, seen, understood. To have someone kind of mirror back to us that acknowledgement. That who we are and what we are in the world matters. Okay, I gotta dig up a proper embroidery needle next time. I don't often get saucy about the tools I use. I'm kind of a whatever works kind of person. But there are certain things that are just more, they give you more pleasure to work with. And this self-threading needle, although nifty, is not as enjoyable to work with. No, I know. Things, on the scale of things, it doesn't really matter, does it? But just something. I know there's a needle out there for me. It's probably a meter or foot or two away from me. Oh, come on, you. Oh, I'm going to pull this out. Perhaps today is also, maybe this is a day about working with the tangles. Embracing the tangles. Maybe I shouldn't try to have it be sewn smoothly. And just let it be exactly what it wants to be. Snaggerific. Let's see. Okay, so Peter's talking about, I don't find the link at all of the workshops we're doing. So if you go to our events page, the events for the workshops are up, and the link to join the room will be posted in on the workshop group page on the day of the workshop. So that'll be scheduled up to join So it's probably tomorrow morning you'll see the link to join the workshop in the afternoon, and on Friday morning you'll see the link to join the workshop on Friday afternoon. I hope that helps. But right now, for the time being, you can register to join. Oh, hello, Snag. Yep, you're in there. I'm keeping you. I'm letting you speak. Right now, what you can do, if anyone is out there is interested in joining those workshops, you can go to our Facebook event page and click join. And that way, our lovely student facilitators will have an idea of how many people to prepare for, how many people to work with. And again, they've tried to create workshops where the materials are simple, that people will have on hand, so you don't have to go out and buy anything fancy. And yeah, take it from there. So right now, it's the Facebook events that are up. That's how you can join one of our workshops. And Vanna. Oh, okay. Oh, excellent. So going back to that secret language with you and your family. So, for example, if Vanna wanted Doritos nacho cheese, but couldn't remember the name. Let's see. Hold on. Here, what's happening here? You would call it red bag triangles. I know that sounds a bit weird, but it works for you. It works for me too. Red bag triangles. If you say that. Yeah, I think of Doritos. I might say orange triangles, but I guess the bag was red. It sounds like you were interpreting language and interpreting the information just in a different way, a way that makes just as much sense as anything else does in this world. That's awesome. Red bag triangles. That makes sense to me. And thank you, Jay. Jay saying, just reminding me, take care of myself too and have a great break time. I'm hoping to. Thank you. So folks who might be joining, I'm going to be taking a break for the next 2 weeks. Next week I'm going to be doing some live streaming workshops for Camp Rainbow Phoenix, which is the most amazing thing in the world. For those of you who may not be familiar with PFLAG, and I'm not sure if they have PFLAG in the UK, they might have something, a variant of it. So parents of, what does it stand for? Parents and Friends Lesbian and Gay Alliance, something of those English words in that, mixed up in that order in one way or another. I know over time it is broadened as well, so it's allies, friends, family, people in the LGBTQ plus constellation. Is for kids in this specific activity. It's a summer camp where kids, LGBTQ plus kids can go and their friends and family can come, and just a place to hang out, be a kid, have a summer camp experience, and be safe. Know that you don't have to explain a lot of stuff to anyone. You're with people who understand, who get it. Just a lovely, beautiful experience, and it's full of so much fun and all the things you'd expect from a camp for kids or youth. And we're going to be hosting some live stream workshops for them because this year, obviously, they can't get together in person to hold camp. So they're doing as much as they can to make sure that the kids still have a camp-like experience, but virtually, and still have an opportunity to connect with one another. And again, that theme that's reemerging, find your people. Like, find people who understand who you are, who you can feel safe with, who you can have those precious experiences of being seen and heard and recognized in all the ways that matter. In a safe way too. Because unfortunately we still live in a time where kids, LGBTQ kids, are seen as different, and it's not always safe for them to be themselves. That breaks my heart. But what is inspiring is that there are things like this, like Camp Rainbow Phoenix, that provide that beautiful experience, that safe space, that joyful space where they can just be themselves. And there's more, I think there are more events popping up every day. There's more evidence of things like that existing in the world every single day. And Peter, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Peter's sad I'm not doing the live stream the next 2 weeks. I know. Well, keep an eye out. It wouldn't be, sometimes I do tend to do, I have been known to do things spontaneously, but it's, again, that self-care piece and not wanting to burn out and wanting to come back renewed with some fresh and interesting ideas. And because students are taking a break as well, it'll give everyone a chance to evaluate where they're at, think about what they want for the future, and plan. And I'm hoping one of the things I'll come out of it with is an experience of what I'd like to offer the community for the fall. And I'll check in with some of the amazing resources we have, amazing volunteers who want to share and do things with the community as well. And just create opportunities for everyone who wants to have a chance to connect and create. So it's just an opportunity to reevaluate, to check in with myself, but also with the studio project, make some plans for things, and move forward. Because sometimes, I'm sure lots of folks out there can relate, when you're really enjoying something, it's really easy to get caught up in, you forget, you lose sight of the future a little bit. You're just in it, so you don't have perspective. And I don't want this to become something that I lose perspective on. But we will be back. Don't worry, we'll be back. Oh, and that's interesting. So that, again, like for folks out there, like Peter was saying, that this has become a part of their routine. And I think there are a few other folks out there in the community that would also acknowledge this. And that is such a beautiful thing, that this afternoon experience has been something that brings people joy and rest and relaxation and gives them permission to create. My challenge to you folks out there is to make space for that in your own life. So what happens if I'm not here? Can you still create? Can you still make time in your afternoon to sit down and give yourself permission to make some art or do some writing? Or perhaps it's an opportunity for you to check in with other folks in your friend circle, in your community circle, to see what they're up to. I think what I can say after 6 years of working in the studio space, maybe 7, I guess it's almost 7 now, is that everyone I've worked with is so much stronger than they realize, and so much more resilient than perhaps they realize. Again, that's kind of a symptom of what happens when we just go from one thing to the other without having an opportunity to take a breath or to just reflect on where we've been and what we've done. We're resilient. And there are so many other amazing resources out there. Like I was saying, all the other art hives doing really cool stuff. Before we take a break, what I'll do is I'll make sure that I share some of those online hives. So anyone here, if you're really missing out on this experience and maybe you'd like to try a different kind of art hive virtually, you can go and visit one. You can visit an art hive in Montreal. You can visit an art hive in downtown Toronto. Excellent snag. Excellent. There might be other opportunities to connect and create with people. And building upon that idea of strength and hope, you'll be able to discover something about yourself perhaps that you weren't already aware of. And again, just knowing that if you need to reach out to someone, if things do become extra difficult, don't hesitate. I may not be as present on the page as I normally am. I'm not checking in as regularly as I do. But if you need to reach out, do reach out. And this is just a rule for everyone, a guideline, a nice thing to remember, that there's so many amazing resources out there that you can reach out to. And sometimes it's just a case of becoming familiar with them and giving yourself permission, knowing that you belong and you deserve that kind of support. You're worth it. So never hesitate to reach out for supports whenever you feel you might need them. You're worth it. You're worth it, you're worth it, you're worth it. You're worth it, you're worth it, you're worth it. There's a song. I'm not in a singing mood today, but that could become a song. You're worth it, you're worth it, you're worth it. Let's see. Catching up on conversation. This is awesome. B says, my embroidery needles like to take walks or pull vanishing acts. Yeah, unfortunately, I tend to find them with your feet or your hind end. Yeah, that happens. And why? I don't know. Tricksters. Needles are, like sewing needles are tricksters. They like to, I suppose that's the mythology, part of their origin story. Like to hide in haystacks, all that. Sewing needles. Let's see. And oh, interesting. Patrick Michael asking which singers do I like? So many. So many. I think that is, that question is so big. There's a song right now that I can't get out of my head. And it's such a lovely song. And maybe, I think it might be a British artist. It's called Black Dog, this song. And I think it was written during COVID. And the story is just beautiful. And the name of the band is something Projectors. If someone knows who I'm talking about, shout it out. And I will post it after the chat as well in the follow-up convo. But it's such a beautiful song. And I fell in love with it the first time I heard it. Yeah, it's a gorgeous song. I think it's called Black Dog. Just lovely little song about friends helping friends and being there for one another in those lovely little ways. So check it out. And let's see, and B saying parents and friends of, oh, thank you very much. Parents and friends of lesbians and gays, I think. That's for P flag, what P flag represents. But over time, I think they've come to represent so much more to so many people. And Durham Region has the largest P flag group. I think it's the largest in North America, which is astonishing. Just such an amazing organization doing so many amazing things out in the community for so many amazing people. And we're lucky. What an honor to be invited to take part in Camp Rainbow Phoenix. We've gone for the last 6 years, I think, one way or another. So it's going to be sad that there's no chance to hang out and engage with the kids this year in person. But what a lovely thing. I'm just so happy it exists. Yeah, and be echoing that. So happy that Camp Rainbow Phoenix exists. Yeah, be saying I would have loved to have done that as a kid. And I think so many of, older kids, maybe older kids that I talk to have that same reaction. If only something had been around when they needed it, when they wanted it, when they could have really benefited from it. And that's something for me, again, that reminds us of the hopefulness that we have right now. As difficult as some things are, there's an extraordinary sense of possibility, that so much is possible now that, at least when I was young, I don't know if I could dream about. I don't know if I could name it. I don't know if I could see it. I don't know if I could envision or imagine it. And now it exists. So if that exists now, that means that other amazing people are out there imagining and envisioning other things to fill the gaps, to address the issues and the questions and the thoughts and the dreams that are now coming out of this new place, for not only for the youth that are working today and growing today and studying and playing and becoming today, but for all of us, because we all benefit when things like that exist and when things like that are created. And it just moves that conversation along about possibility and hope and becoming the best possible humans we can be together. Yeah, absolutely. It's expanded B. And then Peter saying, oh, yes, hopefully we can have a chance to talk. And I know Peter has some amazing ideas out there, folks. So again, if anyone is interested in collaborating, I think Peter has an open mic art hive. So check in with Peter about when that happens and how you can support it or be a part of it if you'd like, or maybe even share a poem or sing a song one night they have it. And B saying, I think it's important, for B at least, to give myself time to be creative every day. Whatever it is that I do, I need some time each day to dedicate myself to it. And yeah, it's beautiful. Like that, I think I enjoy being here because this reminds me to take this creative time. And if that's what it does for me, I imagine for some folks out there that it must do the same. But I also let's invite ourselves to create time for ourselves, a little bit of time each day, where we can create, we can express ourselves, we can let it out, whatever needs to be let out. We can make space to let it in, perhaps, and be influenced and wooed by the beautiful things we're making. And we can appreciate ourselves as well as the things we appreciated about other people and what they create. No one can take that away from you, right? And if they try, let me know. I'll talk to them. I'll art fight them. I'm not sure what that would look like, but I'm open to exploring what that means. I'm in a weird space today, folks. And yes, I will post that song. And B would also like to, oh yes, music. As far as soundtracks of your day, Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, stuck in your head for ages because it's so gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Makes your heart ache in a good way. B says, and I know exactly what you're talking about. In fact, yeah, Tracy Chapman, I think I need to go and revisit all of Tracy Chapman's work. One of those artists that kind of is easy to forget, but once you rediscover their music, so profound, you can't, after it's reintroduced to your life again, whew, you won't be able to let it go. Oh, and Anthony Granny, thank you. So the song I'm talking about is Black Dog by Arlo Parks. Thank you, Anthony Granny. He shared the link right there. Enjoy, and listen, love. It's just sort of just snuck into my heart. And I listen to it to help myself feel better, to kind of talk to myself through the song, and listen to it. See how it speaks to you. See what it says to you. And there might be a person in your life that you want to share that song with as well. And Peter, yeah, maybe there's a chance you can also do a workshop or some activities with the living room. We are looking and wondering and trying to figure out how to do that. And we'll figure that out. And Anthony Granny following up on, noticing people are wondering how they're going to get their living room merry, Phil, while the pop-up art studios are taking a 2-week break. We have archived all these pop-ups for YouTube. Would folks be into us creating a playlist? Oh, wow. With all 16 pop-ups we've done so far, that would give you about 24 hours worth of streaming all in one batch. What do you think? Do you think you can handle that, folks? I mean, you don't have to watch it all in one sitting, but if you're open to that, we're going to post it. Yeah, so that's it. So keep an eye out for that happening. We're going to post all of these live streams up on YouTube. I hadn't realized we'd done so many. And that way you can reach in, dip in, dip out, put them on in the background. If you've missed one, you can you can catch up a little bit. And who knows, I might revisit a few of them too, just to see how it looks from the other side. And B saying, so for the art fight, yes, my offer of art fighting people, B is picturing 2 artists loading water balloons full of paint in trebuchets pointed at brick walls, trying to make the art, make the better artwork. Oh goodness, my brain. Artwork, art fight. And Carlos saying 24-hour binge on the live stream art hives when we post them. Take care of yourself, folks. 24 hours of merry. I'm not gonna, just consider that. Safety first, everybody. Safety first. And Lottie Pop-Up Art Fest. Yeah, you can catch up. And you know what? An interesting document. I might actually watch a bit of it because I think it might be an interesting kind of document of the times we've been through, watching us move through something at first that felt like a crisis that might resolve in a few weeks, hopefully, and then watching as we kind of recognize collectively that maybe things have changed and some things are changing for the better and other things are, well, they're just changed, and watching as we learn how to move through this together in as positive and constructive a way as we can. Oh, hello, snag. Excellent, another snag. I'm really loving this, this working with the tangles technique. I don't know if this is a thing that already exists out there, but I didn't realize how much I love it. I'm kind of loving what it's saying to me. So actually, let me wrap up. Stitching is always an interesting thing because it doesn't fill as much space as fast as other artwork might. But let's take a look at it and see. So that's what I'm working on. That is interesting. I'm going to fill this out. Maybe every day add a few more stitches as I go, just randomly. Maybe I will dig up that other embroidery needle so that I can have fewer moments of frustration with the thread. But I really do like how the tangled bits are incorporating themselves into this image. I love that. And it's creating a kind of unexpected beauty. Yeah, I love that. I really do. Go figure. Go figure. And let's see, timing wise, again, just past 3:30. So, wow. I am, maybe I'll just need to turn this into a 2-hour live stream once we're back. But for everyone who's watching and hanging out there and hanging in out there, thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you for taking the time to join me here and join other community members here. I so appreciate you. And I really, really do mean it when I say that you're an important part of my week. And I really come to appreciate the ways we support one another, the small and big ways, through the work we create, through the conversation we create, through the humaning we do, and the space we make for one another. Thank you so much for being here. And I will be back. This will be back. And I will make sure that we have lots of lovely little things that you can dip into over the 2 weeks break. And of course, feel free to message me and reach out and connect if you need to. I'll still be around, just trying to give myself a little space to envision what the future looks like. And you know what? Yeah, you matter. Your voice matters. Your creative voice is so important. Make space for yourselves. I mean, I'm not the boss of you, but I invite you to make space for yourselves. And if you need a little dose of Mary, you can always visit our YouTube page over at the Living Room Community Art Studio on YouTube. I think we're only 4 people away from surpassing 200 subscribers, which I know is, for other people it may not be a lot, but for us it's huge. That's amazing. So if folks want to go on over there and subscribe, there's so many amazing videos up there, not just of me, but other artists we work with in community, people who've shared their skills, their passions with us over time. And yeah, hopefully enough stuff that you can, if you need a fix, a living room fix, you can get one whenever you need one. But again, safety first. Okay? Care about you folks so much. Take care. And let's see, just following up on the last few comments here. Yeah, it will be fascinating to see the transitions. I'd love to know what people think if you're watching, if you're dipping into those YouTube videos to see how far we've come over, wow, 4.5 months, maybe 5, almost 5 months of working in this new way together. It will be really interesting to see how we've grown, how far we've come, what we've learned, because I think we are pretty resilient. And just revisiting that theme from B, the hope, the strength. You are stronger than you might realize. You're so freaking resilient. I see it every day in the studio. And if you're looking for hope, just know that on those dark moments, on those dark days when you're having trouble holding on to it, I'm out here, and I know there are a lot of other people too. We can hold the hope for each other. Okay? So we can hold the hope for each other. So know that in your darkest moments. And if you do need to reach out for supports, don't hesitate for a second. There are so many amazing resources out there in the community that want to be there for you, that want to help you, be there for you. So reach out for those supports and know that others out there are holding on to that hope. So it's not going anywhere. It's just a little harder to see in all its glory in some moments. And indeed, thank you everyone. Take care going on doing what you're doing in the rest of the day. And like B says, thanks for joining the community and sticking with us and chatting and creating with us. It has been awesome, B. It's been amazing. And Carlos as well. Thanks so much for this. As always, Mary. Oh. And thanks to everyone here that engaged either directly or by being here and just being. You're appreciated and important and a fantastical work of art. And Carlos says it sounded less cheesy in my head. I promise it was sincere. And have a safe week, y'all. I echo Carlos as well, and it's not cheesy at all. You are appreciated. And again, if you're watching this live stream quietly, we appreciate you. If you're watching the live stream after, when it's been archived, we appreciate you. Being here and being a part of our community helps make this possible, but I think it is the reason we're possible, because without you folks, it would just be me rambling into a screen. So thank you for making this what it is. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day or night. And hello, Laura. Last minute, Laura. Today was busy, but catching the last 5 minutes was enough. Ah, thank you. XXOO. All the virtual hugs and kisses for everyone out there in the community. Love and appreciate you so much. Take care and see you soon. After a little mini break, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with more live stream fun from the living room. I think I need to go for a walk now and get some air. Everyone, thank you. And we will see you again real soon. Take care.